heartwarming visit to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving, Claire parked her car beneath the twisted branches of the ancient oak. As the autumn leaves rustled in the wind, a chill skittered up her spine, a reminder of the secrets buried in the family's ancestral home. The old stone walls loomed like guardians of memories, each crack whispering stories of laughter and tears. This wasn't just Thanksgiving dinner. It was a trip through time, a dive into familial shadows. Evelyn, her grandmother, had always been the heart of these gatherings. But now, Claire couldn't shape the worry that clung to her like a mist. Evelyn's once vibrant spirit appeared hidden beneath layers of faded quilts and fractured memories. The woman who once dazzled upon entering a room now seemed lost in thought, gazing vacantly. At the flickering flames in the fireplace, the aroma of roasting turkey mingled with the sweetness of pumpkin pie. Claire forced a smile for her family. Her uncles arrived one after another, their loud voices filling the air, masking unspoken tensions beneath their jovial exchanges. Joyful laughter echoed off the walls, but Claire could feel the weight of something dark lurking just beneath the surface. As the plates were filled, Claire's heart raced. Would Uncle Harold, with his sharp tongue, mention the past? Would the family stories bring warmth or stir old wounds? The table felt like a battlefield of exaggerated camaraderie, where heartfelt toasts were often laced with veiled insults. Later, while putting away the last of the dishes, Claire discovered a small, dusty box tucked away in the corner of the old wooden cabinet. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the lid, revealing a hidden stash of letters. Each piece of parchment crinkled softly as she sorted through the yellowed pages. A wave of cold realization washed over her. These were not love letters or family musings. Instead, they uncovered a legacy of betrayals and wagers made by her grandmother's brothers, men who once dangled the fates of their loved ones like pawns on a chessboard. Each letter clawed at her heart, revealing selfish decisions cloaked in family loyalty. "Claire!" The sudden call from her uncle made her jump. She quickly stuffed the letters back into the box, her heart hammering in her chest. She returned to the din of chatter, but that initial sensation of warmth had dissipated, replaced by a tightening. Not of fear. Would they ever confront the truth? Would ignoring it make it go away? Evening fell, and shadows crept into the corners of the room. Claire felt the invisible strain between her family members, as if it were a living, breathing entity. Their smiles seemed brittle and strained, like the break of dawn holding back night. The gathering morphed into an uncomfortable tension, where long-buried resentments hovered just out of sight, waiting to explode. As Claire looked at Evelyn, a tear slipped from her grandmother's eye. In that moment, Claire knew she had a choice to make. Would she preserve the facade of family unity or unravel the hidden truths? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. And tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Claire looked at Evelyn, a tear slipped from her grandmother's eye. In that moment, Claire knew she had a choice to make. Would she preserve the facade of family unity or unravel the hidden truths? Suddenly, the room plunged into an eerie stillness. Laughter faded, voices muted, as if a heavy curtain had dropped. Claire's heart pounded, the air thick with tension. Then it happened. The old clock hanging on the wall chimed, its sound echoing through the house. But along with the chime came a crash from the attic. A shudder ran through the floorboards, rattling the glasses on the table. It sounded like something, or someone, had fallen. "I'll check it out!" Claire exclaimed, her voice slicing through the silence. Urgency igniting her steps, she moved toward the narrow staircase leading up to the attic, each creak beneath her feet amplifying her anxiety. A terrible fear twisted in her gut. What if it was just a box of old stuff collapsing? Or something much worse? With each step up, the world below fell away. The air grew colder, thick with dust and forgotten memories. As she reached the top, the attic door swung ajar, creaking ominously. "Hello?" Claire called softly. No answer came. She peered inside and paused. The darkness felt suffocating. Glancing at her phone, she turned on the flashlight, illuminating cobwebs and discarded furniture. But then, a figure loomed in the corner, shrouded in shadows. Frozen, she stepped inside and gasped. A man, a stranger, stood there, covered in dust and grime. His eyes were wild, and as he shifted, he knocked over a stack of old boxes, sending them tumbling to the ground. "Who are you?" Claire's throat tightened. I'm Marcus," he stammered, his voice shaky. Her mind raced. Marcus? The name reverberated in her ears like a distant memory. But why did it feel so? "Wrong. I'm looking for the letters," he continued, desperate. "I need to know what she did." "What are you talking about?" Claire's heart raced. It felt like the walls were closing in. "Who are you referring to?" But then Evelyn's voice crackled from the foot of the stairs. "Claire, come down, now!" Panic laced her tone, heavy and palpable. Ignoring it, Claire pressed for answers. "What letters? Why do you need them?" "Your grandmother, there's so much you don't know about our family, about the betrayals." His eyes widened, desperation bubbling as he stepped closer. "You need to listen. I have proof." Suddenly, a whirlwind of emotions crashed over Claire. Confusion, fear, disbelief. She looked back at the stairs. Was she risking it all by staying? "What do you mean? What proof?" But before he could answer, the attic door slammed shut with a deafening bang, cutting off any chance of escape. They were trapped together, an unexpected storm swirling in the confined space. "Why did you come here?" Claire shouted, panic twisting her words. "What are you hiding?" "Your family has secrets," he cried, pointing a shaking finger. "Evelyn isn't who you think she is." At that moment, Claire's world tilted on its axis. The warm, inviting holiday she envisioned shattered. Images of laughter faded, replaced by a creeping dread. What had her grandmother done? What darkness lay hidden beneath the joyful mask? The whispers of the past roared to life, each unanswered question multiplying. "Save yourself, Claire," Marcus urged, eyes pleading. "Before it's too late." With her heart racing, Claire felt the weight of decades pressing down. The crack in her family's facade had widened, the truth lurking just out of reach. But could she bring herself to face it? And at what cost? Claire's heart raced as Marcus's desperate gaze pinned her like a moth on a wall. She was trapped. Her mind spiraled into chaos, questions colliding like thunder. What secrets? Why here now? Just listen, he urged, stepping closer. The air felt electric between them, fear crackling like static. They've hidden the truth for too long. Your grandmother, she's at the center of it all. The attic felt darker, shadows closing in. What do you mean? Claire whispered. Suddenly the memories of her family holidays flashed through her mind. Evelyn laughing, holding them close. Could this man be right? A sudden bang shook the attic, and dust plumed into the air, blurring Marcus's face. Claire jumped. What was that? Before he could answer, the door behind her creaked. Time froze. Claire's breath caught. She turned just in time to see Evelyn standing there, her face pale as a moonlit night. Claire, I told you to come down. The tension shifted like a storm front. Grandma, wait! Marcus! Evelyn's sharp eyes darted to Marcus, narrowing into slits. What are you doing here? You shouldn't be in this house. You need to leave! Evelyn, it's not what you think! Marcus shouted, panic mingling with despair. I need to show her the letters! The truth. In that instant, everything froze. Evelyn's expression darkened, a tempest brewing behind her calm facade. You don't understand the dangers, young man. Dangers? Or secrets? Claire whispered, her voice trembling. Shivers coursed through her, fear sinking deep. What secrets, Grandma? Evelyn's jaw tightened. She looked older, the years weighing heavy. You have no idea what you're asking, Claire. Some truths are better left buried. Her voice quivered, hinting at a pain long stifled. Suddenly, an eerie sound filled the attic. A scratching, clawing noise from the far wall. Claire's pulse quickened. What else could be hiding here? Buried in the dust and shadows. Listen, Marcus pressed, his eyes wild. Let her see. It's her right to know. Evelyn stepped forward, her fists clenched. You don't get to decide what she knows. I protected her for years. Then it happened. A thud, louder than any before, and the wall cracked wide open. Light poured through an opening. That had not been there moments before. Dust swirled, and Claire stared, shock rooting her feet to the floor. What the hell? She gasped as the wall splintered, the air thick and heavy. In that moment, her world shattered. A concealed room lay on the other side, filled with remnants of their family's history. From within the darkness, something glimmered. A trunk. Claire's breath halted as light danced off its surface, illuminating the corners of the hidden room. Memories. Or perhaps nightmares were closing in. Evelyn, what is in there? Claire's voice barely rose above a whisper. Her grandmother's eyes widened, a flash of terror crossing her face. No, you can't! But it was too late. Claire reached out, drawn by something she couldn't explain. The moment her fingers brushed the trunk, an electric jolt shot through her, igniting every nerve. As it swung open, the air shifted again, colder and heavier. Inside, stacks of letters and photos lay. But what caught Claire's eye was a single piece of fabric, a baby's bonnet, stained and tattered. Her heart plummeted. What is this? Evelyn's betrayal felt palpable. Claire turned to her grandmother, whose face crumbled into regret. The truth hung heavy in the air, a gaping wound that exposed years of deception. Claire, Evelyn's voice broke, a raw edge of pain seeping through. Did you take someone's child? A crack echoed through the room, the air alive with energy, secrets begging to surface. Claire stepped back, mind racing. The family she adored could be a facade built on lies, and her own story was unraveling before her eyes. Suddenly, a hand shot out from the shadows. Cold, skeletal, grasping. "Oh my God!" Claire screamed, pulling away as realization sank in. And just like that, every bond she thought was unbreakable shattered. Who was her family really? "Run!" Marcus yelled, but it was too late. What had the past unleashed? What other horrors awaited them? The true fight for their family's identity had just begun. And the shadows would devour those who dared to uncover the truth. Claire felt the weight of the world press down, choking her resolve. Could she survive this tangled legacy? Would she dare to look deeper? As the icy fingers of dread tightened around Claire's throat, the room darkened further. Shadows danced along the walls, closing in as the weight of secrets pressed down on her chest. The trunk lay open, the baby's bonnet glimmering with a sinister elegance, mockingly whispering of innocence lost. "Run!" Marcus shouted, panic flaring in his voice. But Claire was frozen, uncertainty paralyzing her. How could she escape the truth that held her captive? "Evelyn, what's happening?" she implored. But her grandmother's face was a mask of fear and regret. "Claire, please, just listen to me," Evelyn stammered, stepping into the room. Her body taut with tension. "You don't know what you're playing with." Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut, and the atmosphere shifted like a storm brewing on the horizon. The scratching sound grew louder, a relentless drumming against the wooden walls. It echoed around them, twisting reality into something nightmarish. Just then, without warning, the wall opposite them bulged outward, cracking like thunder. Dust flew in every direction, and Claire stumbled back, her heart racing. There was a shift, a pulse of energy that crackled in the air. And then the wall burst open. A figure emerged from the shadows. It was a man, a tall, gaunt man, with eyes full of anguish and anger. "I came to find you," he screamed, lunging forward. "Marcus!" Claire gasped, her heart in her throat. "No!" Evelyn cried, stepping in front of him. "You shouldn't be here, Daniel." Claire froze, the name slamming into her chest like a physical blow. Daniel? Her uncle? An uncle she'd been told died years ago? "What do you mean?" Claire's voice quavered as she processed the impossible. "Who is this?" "This is Daniel," Marcus whispered, shock threading through his voice. "Your mom's brother." Claire's world tilted, confusion spreading like wildfire. But he was gone. Gone like years ago. Daniel's eyes flared with a mix of rage and sorrow. "Gone, yes, but not dead. I've been hiding. Hiding from the truth. From her." He pointed at Evelyn, who stood frozen, horrified. "What did you do?" Claire's question was a whisper, fear-stricken and filled with disbelief. Daniel turned to her, a shadow of pain passing over his face. "I came back to find proof. The letters, they're not just a family secret. They're the reason I disappeared. The reason everything went wrong." "Stop!" Evelyn shouted, her voice rising. "You don't understand the danger you're inviting back into this house. You shouldn't have come." But Daniel pressed on, his expression wild. "I need you to see, Claire. They stole my life. Your family buried me underneath their lies. The truth will tear us apart." Before Claire could process the implications of his words, the ground beneath them trembled. The trunk trembled on its hinges, dust swirling into the air, like a sinister veil. Then, it started to close on its own, as if driven by a force beyond their understanding. "No, Claire!" Marcus shouted, reaching for her. "We have to get out of here!" The tension peaked. Breaths caught in lungs. The trunk slammed shut, the attic filling with an eerie silence that rang the alarm bells in Claire's mind. Then it happened. A pulse of light radiated from within the trunk before erupting into blinding brightness. The shadows that enveloped them seemed to slither away, revealing a photograph that hung suspended in midair, glowing like a beacon. The image screamed familiarity. A young girl with bright eyes and dark hair stood beside what looked like an older Evelyn, but with a man whose face was obscured by shadows. Claire felt an inexplicable pull toward it. "What's happening?" Claire shouted over the rising chaos, gripping Daniel's arm. But before anyone could answer, the flash surged toward them, enveloping the room in brilliant light. Claire gasped, heart racing, as the familiar figures from the photograph began to appear all around them. "Who are they?" Claire cried, confusion swirling into despair. "Are these my family?" And just like that, the world tilted again, revealing figures steeped in sorrow that began to converge upon her. Connections twisting in ways she had never imagined. In the depths of that blinding light, everything she knew hung in the balance. Could the truth be more horrific than she had ever imagined? Would the uncovering of those buried secrets sever her ties completely, or bind her family together in unexpected ways? The light flickered, obscuring her vision. Claire had the sense that everything was about to change, and she could either grasp onto the familiar hand of her grandmother or plunge into the unknown darkness ahead. Which would she choose? As the blinding light enveloped Claire, she felt her reality flicker. Images whirled around her, echoes of laughter, shadows of sorrow, then froze, leaving her in a vast emptiness. The photograph dimmed, and she found herself suspended in a moment of unbearable tension, the world around her swirling like a storm. "Who are they?" Claire shouted, fear tightening her throat. The faces drifting out of the light seemed familiar, but twisted, mismatched like a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces. "Your family," Daniel said, desperation clawing at his voice. "The real family you have to see." "Stop," Evelyn cried, her voice cutting sharp through the thick air. "You don't understand what you're doing." But Claire couldn't stop staring. One face hung above the others. A woman with fiery red hair smiling warmly. A hint of recognition stirred in Claire's chest. "Who is she?" Claire asked, her heart hammering. "That's Aileen, your mother," Daniel replied, voice breaking. "She's not who you think she is." Before Claire could process his words, the atmosphere around them shifted, crackling with energy. The shadows lengthened, elongating toward Evelyn, who stood rigid, her expression morphing from fear to something darker. "Mom?" Claire echoed, confused. "Aileen, my mom? What do you mean?" Evelyn's face paled, the warmth drained from her features. "I did what I had to do to protect you, all of you." The moment hung heavy, thick with tension. "Protect us?" Claire's voice trembled. "By lying? By hiding everything?" "Enough!" Evelyn's tone was a whip crack, each word slicing through Claire's heart. "You're too young to understand the consequences of these truths." "What consequences?" Claire yelled, tears blurring her vision. What else are you hiding? Then the ground shook violently, the trunk behind them crashing shut with a deafening thud. Dust and splinters rained down like confetti from a macabre celebration. An abrupt silence followed, a collective breath held in the room. Suddenly, a soft whimper broke the quiet. Claire turned, eyes wide, to see a small figure crouched in the corner. A child, hair a tangled mess, dress dirty and torn. Claire's heart shattered. "Help!" the girl cried, her voice raw, echoing the plea in Claire's chest. "Who are you?" Claire pressed forward, trembling, trying to peer through the dust. I'm Sarah." The child glanced at Evelyn, surprise mirroring the dread in Claire's heart. "She said not to come back." At once, the pieces clicked together like a fateful lock. "You're my sister?" Claire gasped, the ground beneath her feet shifting. "No, this is impossible," Evelyn cried, her hands trembling. "That's it, isn't it?" Daniel shouted, an edge of triumph curling his lip. "The child you abandoned, the secret that rocked your family to its core." Claire's world tilted again. All those family dinners, laughter that wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Lies tangled deep within. "Why?" Claire's voice broke, her heart aching. "Why would you hide her? Why would you—" Before Evelyn could respond, the attic door crashed open, harsh light flooding in, dispelling shadows like a dark memory. The sudden shift stunned Claire, throwing her into a blinding new reality. The room felt alive with attention, as if the past was suddenly watching. In the dearway stood a stranger, dark hair, jaw set with purpose, eyes raging like a storm. "Claire!" he shouted, breathless. "We don't have time! They're coming!" Confusion gripped her throat. "Who are you?" "It's not important right now," he replied, panic etching lines across his face. "We need to leave! Now!" Claire's heart raced, every whisper of doubt folding under the urgency in his tone. Behind them, Sarah shrank deeper into the shadows, shrouded in silence, her fate hanging by a thread. What had she stepped into? What terrors were approaching, nodding around her family? "Tell me everything," Claire pleaded, fear clawing at her voice. "Who are they? What's the truth?" The stranger's eyes darted to Evelyn, who stood frozen, a statue trapped in grief and guilt. "There's no time," he hissed, urgency thick in the air. "And they'll find you if you stay." Claire took a step back, her thoughts racing. Everything she thought she knew was unraveling, shredding her heart to ribbons. A labyrinth of lies. A sister lost, and now, for the first time, an urgent escape. What is about to happen? Claire shouted into the burgeoning chaos, desperate for answers amidst her swirling reality. But just as the child's whimper reached her ears again, the walls trembled and the shadows deepened. Everything spun, uncertainty thickening with every breath. The question echoed through the descending darkness. Who was truly in danger? And could she face what came next? As the blinding light enveloped Claire, she felt her reality flicker. Images whirled around her, echoes of laughter, shadows of sorrow, then froze, leaving her in a vast emptiness. The photograph dimmed, and she found herself suspended in a moment of unbearable tension, the world around her swirling like a storm. "Who are they?" Claire shouted, fear tightening her throat. The faces drifting. Out of the light seemed familiar, but twisted, mismatched, like a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces. Your family, Daniel said, desperation clawing at his voice. The real family. You have to see. Stop, Evelyn cried, her voice cutting sharp through the thick air. You don't understand what you're doing. But Claire couldn't stop staring. One face hung above the others. A woman with fiery red hair, smiling warmly. A hint of recognition stirred in Claire's chest. Who is she? Claire asked, her heart hammering. That's Aileen, your mother, Daniel replied, voice breaking. She's not who you think she is. Before Claire could process his words, the atmosphere around them shifted, crackling with energy. The shadows lengthened, elongating toward Evelyn, who stood rigid, a statue trapped in grief and guilt. Mom? Claire echoed, confused. Eileen? My mom? What do you mean? Evelyn's face paled, the warmth drained from her features. I did what I had to do to protect you, all of you. The moment hung heavy, thick with tension. Protect us? Claire's voice trembled. By lying? By hiding everything? Enough! Evelyn's tone was a whip crack, each word slicing through Claire's heart. You're too young to understand the consequences of these truths. What consequences? Claire yelled, tears blurring her vision. What else are you hiding? Then the ground shook violently, the trunk behind them crashing shut with a deafening thud. Dust and splinters rained down like confetti from a macabre celebration. An abrupt silence followed, a collective breath held in the room. Suddenly, a soft whimper broke the quiet. Claire turned, eyes wide, to see. A small figure crouched in the corner, a child, hair a tangled mess, dress dirty and torn. Claire's heart shattered. Help! The girl cried, her voice raw, echoing the plea in Claire's chest. Who are you? Claire pressed forward, trembling, trying to peer through the dust. I'm Sarah. The child glanced at Evelyn, surprise mirroring the dread in Claire's heart. She said not to come back. At once, the pieces clicked together like a fateful lock. You're my sister? Claire gasped, the ground beneath her feet shifting. No, this is impossible, Evelyn cried, her hands trembling. That's it, isn't it? Daniel shouted, an edge of triumph curling his lip. The child you abandoned, the secret that rocked your family to its core. Claire's world tilted again. All those family dinners, laughter wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Lies tangled deep within. Why? Claire's voice broke, her heart aching. Why would you hide her? Why would you? Before Evelyn could respond, the attic door crashed open, harsh light flooding in, dispelling shadows like a dark memory. The sudden shift stunned Claire, throwing her into a blinding new reality. The room felt alive with attention, as if the past was suddenly watching. In the doorway stood a stranger, dark hair, jaw set with purpose, eyes raging like a storm. Claire, he shouted, breathless. We don't have time. They're coming. Confusion gripped her throat. Who are you? It's not important right now, he replied, panic etching lines across his face. We need to leave. Now! Claire's heart raced, every whisper of doubt folding under the urgency in his tone. Behind them, Sarah shrank deeper into the shadows, shrouded in silence, her fate hanging by a thread. What had happened? Claire shouted into the burgeoning chaos, desperate for answers amidst her swirling reality. Then, everything changed. A thunderous crash echoed from the door, and a group of shadowy figures rushed inside, cloaked in darkness. Claire's breath hitched as she watched their haunted faces emerge. Uncles and cousins she'd never known. Each covered in remnants of dust and anguish. Claire, we need to leave, one of them shouted, eyes wild with fear. She knows. She's the one who brought this back. Evelyn's face turned pale, a ghost of her former self. No! Stay back! You can't be here! Why not? Aren't we family? Claire yelled, confusion and defiance. Blending! The air crackled with a new tension. We're not family, one of them spat, pointing an accusing finger at Evelyn. She's been lying to you since you were born. Claire's heart dropped. Lying? What do you mean? A rustling sound broke the tension as the trunk began to rattle, something powerful stirring inside. No! Stop! Evelyn screamed, scrambling toward it, but her foot caught on a broken chair leg, sending her crashing to the floor. As she fell, the trunk exploded open, revealing not just letters, but a wave of light that shot into the air like a comet. And there, hovering above them, was a single photograph, vibrant and clear, showing her mother, but this time with someone who looked exactly like her. Her face, her eyes. Is this me? Claire whispered, disbelief washing over her. Claire, you have to listen, Daniel began, his voice saturated with urgency. But before he could say more, the figures in the doorway moved forward, unified in their intent. It's too late now. The truth is coming for all of us, whether we're ready or not. The light from the trunk pulsed, and the walls seemed to shudder, ready to collapse under the weight of all they had hidden. In that moment, Claire realized everything she thought was true was built on a foundation of lies wrapped in love. Was she ready to confront the reality of who she really was? Abruptly, the room darkened as shadows converged around them, closing in like a vice. Just when she thought it couldn't get worse, she felt it. Wrenching pain in her chest. A sharp, piercing sensation that made her stumble. As the darkness enveloped her, one thought pierced through the chaos. Who was the enemy? Was it her mother? Her family? Or was it the very truth that had just begun to unravel? As the darkness enveloped Claire, she felt the pressure in her chest intensify. The room pulsed with the weight of secrets, and every breath she took was a reminder of how close she was to losing it all. Shadows crept around her, wrapping her in a cocoon of dread. What was the truth? What else had her family kept hidden? Then, out of the chaos, a scream shattered the silence. It pierced through the thick air, echoing off the old wooden beams like a gunshot. Claire whirled around, heart racing, and saw Sarah, the little girl, kneeling on the floor, her hands clasped over her ears. Terror etched across her small face. "No, don't!" Claire shouted, rushing toward her. "What's wrong?" But before she could reach the child, Daniel lunged forward, grabbing Claire's arm with surprising strength. "We have to go, now." "No, she's just a child," Claire protested, trying to tear away from his grip. Suddenly, the light from the trunk flickered, and the photograph, the one with her mother, seemed to glow even brighter. A rush of air swept through the attic, and a voice, low and chilling, seeped from it. "You found me." Everyone froze, eyes wide, hearts thumping in sync. That voice, Claire's blood ran cold. It felt like a dagger had plunged into her gut. "Who are you?" she managed to choke out. "I am the truth of this family," the voice replied. It was a mixture of sweetness and malice, "and you are mine to take." The shadows twisted, coiling around the figures in the room like serpents seeking their prey. Claire felt her feet move on instinct, leading her toward the trunk. "What do you mean?" The figure from the darkness materialized, a ghostly apparition of a woman, veiled in a shroud of white mist. She smiled, a terrifying, familiar smile. Claire's heart raced as the pieces began to fit. Distance! No, that's not possible! Yes, the apparition replied, her voice dripping with a haunting sweetness. You were taken from me, but I've waited, and now you're home. No, Claire shouted, disbelief ripping through her. You're a lie! You're not my mother! She left me! But the shadows lunged, surrounding her and Sarah, pulling them closer. Claire could see the shimmer of the child's wide eyes, the fear etched in every line of her face. Help me! Sarah screamed, her small hand reaching toward Claire. Please don't let her take me! That moment hung in the air, a stark contrast of innocence before the darkening storm. Claire's heart pounded. She felt a surge of protectiveness over Sarah, mixing with the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Get away from her! Claire yelled at the apparition. You can't take her! Can't I? The specter laughed, a sound like shattering glass. You all belong to me. Your grandmother, your mother, they're all mine. With a swift motion, Evelyn grabbed Daniel from behind, pulling him back as the lights flickered dangerously. No, you have to fight it, Claire. We are stronger than she is. The room exploded with chaos. Shadows clawed at everyone, tugging them toward the swirling darkness. Claire stood at the center, her resolve building. But before she could act, the ground shook violently beneath their feet. The air crackled, heavy with tension, and the darkness deepened, transforming from an entity of fear to an inescapable force. Then it happened. A loud crack resonated through the attic, and the walls began to split, revealing not just hidden memories, but also truths far more horrific than the mere presence of the past. The voices rose in an oppressive cacophony of screams and whispers, their family history unraveling. Run! Daniel shouted, breaking the spell. While you still can! But as Claire turned to grab Sarah's hand, she found herself face to face with her own reflection, held in the darkness, an echo of herself, twisted and warped. Her heart twisted painfully as the realization hit. Not just a ghost, the apparition grinned wide, mirroring Claire's every move. You are me, and I am you. Suddenly, comprehension shattered her thoughts. What if it wasn't just about her mother? What if something deeper, far more insidious, had connected them all along? Claire's heart raced in fear, confusion, and burgeoning rage. Betrayal and the haunting weight of the past clawed at her mind. She was more entangled in this web than she ever realized. Mom? Claire whispered, the air thickening with dread. And then, as the walls screamed in agony and the darkness consumed everything, she found herself asking the most terrifying question. What if her identity was built on a foundation that had never existed at all? The shadows thickened, swirling around Claire, draping her in a shroud of dread. The apparition's smile twisted into something far more sinister, and Claire's heart raced. You are me, and I am you, echoed eerily in the cramped attic. Stunned, Claire staggered back, her butt twisting with confusion. Every fiber of her being screamed for escape, but the darkness loomed like a predator. She turned to the little girl, Sarah, whose frightened eyes glistened with tears. The weight of the truth of their bond threatened to suffocate her. No, this can't be happening, Claire shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. I'm not you. I am not part of this darkness. The ghostly figure raised an ethereal hand, silencing her. What do you truly know? it hissed, its voice chilling. "Do you even know who you are?" But then, out of the chaos, Daniel grabbed Claire's shoulders. "We have to face her. The truth is the only way out." His voice broke through the panic, grounding her amidst the turmoil. "Face what?" Claire retorted, anger bubbling up. "Face my past? Face a nightmare?" "Yes," Daniel shot back. "You have to understand. She's not just your mother. She's the heart of this curse." That word hung in the air, like a loaded gun, heavy with meaning. "Curse?" Claire's voice quivered, uncertainty rippling through her. The shadows pulsed around them, the energy crackling like a live wire. And for a moment, there was silence, an expectant pause. Then, suddenly, the attic trembled. The walls shook, dust raining down like confetti from a sinister event. "What's happening?" Claire screamed, as the air grew thick with tension. "Just hold on," Daniel shouted, pulling Claire and Sarah closer, as if the three of them could form a barrier against the impending storm. A series of deafening cracks split the air. The old beams groaned, trembling under the weight of secrets, finally rebelling against confinement. Then it happened. A blinding flash erupted from the trunk, illuminating everything in a stark white light, then plunging them into darkness. And within that inky blackness, Claire felt her chest constrict, like hands were wrapping around her heart. She gasped, desperate for breath, struggling against the crushing weight around her. Then, shocking and surreal, the darkness shifted and began to pull away. In its place, a scene unfolded. Claire found herself standing in a sunny park, vibrant colors exploding around her. Children laughed, playing and running. In the center stood a woman. A girl's hand clutched in hers. A young Claire, smiling up at her. "Mom," she whispered, memories flooding back. It was a slice of joy, stark against the grim reality she had just escaped. The woman turned, that same fiery red hair glowing in the sunlight. But as Claire stepped closer, the woman's smile faltered. That warmth twisted. "You did this, Claire!" The apparition dripped with venom. "You pulled us back." Suddenly, her reflection flickered in the air. A blurred version of herself entwined in the memories. What was happening? The sunlit moment fled, replaced by voices, echoes of arguments, snatched whispers of evil and darkness, threaded through the air like a spell. "Look closer," the apparition hissed, urgency dripping from its tone. "See what burden you bear. You think you're safe?" Claire felt her knees buckle. "What do you mean?" The truth in the air was suffocating. The darkness carved a deep divide, revealing a hidden path, a corridor of memories. Claire stepped forward, daring to glimpse inside. Each image shot through her, arguments from family dinners, cold glances from relatives, shadows lurking in the corners of her life. "Your grandmother knew," the woman sneered, voice thick with scorn. "All of them knew, but I let you believe you were fresh, pure." And then it hit her. A rush of horror flooded through Claire. The laughter at the holiday table, the pride in her mother's eyes, the warmth of her childhood. What if it had all been a carefully constructed lie? "You chose this life, didn't you?" the apparition continued. "And now you need to decide. Will you embrace the truth or remain lost?" Suddenly a roar echoed, shaking Claire to her core. Another force surged ahead, the deep, guttural growl of something ancient and furious, tearing through the fabric of her life. "I won't!" Claire screamed, heart racing. "I won't choose darkness!" But as she cried out, the world began to fracture. The child, Sarah, began to shimmer, weaving in and out of solidity. The trembling shadows twisted, coalescing into a terrifying silhouette behind her. A figure far larger than anything Claire had ever seen, bursting forth with a chilling roar. Everything she knew held its breath. To her utter shock, the figure lunged forward, lunging not at Claire, but past her, right toward Daniel. In that split second, a wild realization ricocheted in Claire's mind, a shocking truth that turned her entire world upside down. Had Daniel been the catalyst all along? The link to the darkness she sought to escape? As darkness erupted around them, Claire's heart pounded in her chest. Would she have the strength to confront this new reality? Or would the once familiar bonds of love and family crush her before she even knew the full story? As the looming figure surged forward, Claire's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out everything else. Daniel's eyes widened in shock, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The darkness pressed in, the air thick with dread as the malevolent presence lunged past Claire, not directing its fury toward her, but to Daniel. "No!" Claire screamed. "Daniel, watch out!" But it was too late. The dark figure slammed into him, pushing him backward. Claire felt the ground shudder beneath her feet, as if everything familiar was shifting. She was lost in a whirlwind of screens, shadows, and betrayal. Suddenly, with a fierce crackle, the darkness split. With a blinding flash, Claire saw Daniel being thrown against the wall, his body impacting with a sickening thud. The shadows seemed to howl around him, pulling at his essence like a storm. "Claire," he gasped, clinging to consciousness. "You have to understand." But before he could say more, the apparition extended its hand, shimmering with power. "He has hidden truths, Claire," it hissed. "You, my dear, have to choose. Either embrace your family's darkness or be consumed by it." In that moment, an icy grip enclosed Claire's heart. Daniel's face twisted in anguish. "No, don't listen to her!" But then, something extraordinary happened. The air crackled, and in the chaos, Claire felt a surge within herself. A well of power she never knew existed erupted from her core, forcing its way into the world around her. "Get away from him!" she roared, standing her ground. The apparition recoiled, surprised. But then, with a bone-chilling laugh, it whispered, "Very well, Claire. If you want to play, let's see what secrets spill out." That moment of defiance clashed with a deafening crash, echoing like thunder. Suddenly, the attic wall split open completely, revealing a hidden chamber bathed in eerie, flickering light. What Claire saw there shook her to her very core. Inside, a chaotic jumble of memories came alive, images swirling in the dim space. Faces flickered, voices whispered. Among them were her family members, all frozen in moments of betrayal, fear, anguish. And at the center stood a tall figure, a man, solid and imposing. He locked eyes with Claire. A chill went down her spine. It was her father, a man she'd been told died when she was young. "Father?" she breathed, disbelief twisting her insides. "But you're not supposed to be here." "Oh, but I am," the figure replied softly, his voice smooth but edged with darkness. "I've always been here, waiting." As he stepped forward, the shadows recoiled, freeing him from their clutches. Claire felt her thoughts spiral. But why? Why did you leave? Why didn't you come back? Because I couldn't, not with your mother with me, he said, glancing at Evelyn, whose face twisted with disbelief and regret. She chose the family's legacy over everything, including you. The revelation hit her like a punch. The world felt shaky, everything she knew crumbling beneath her. You did this, she shouted at Evelyn, her voice trembling with fury. You made my life a lie. Tension crackled in the air. Daniel struggled to his feet, wincing, and Claire could see the shadows still clawing at him. No, we're not safe. None of us are, he yelled, eyes wild, darting between her, Evelyn, and the looming figure. And just like that, the room went still. The weight of the truth sat heavily, and Claire's heart ached with confusion. You've been lying to me my whole life. Claire, Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. It wasn't safe. I had to protect you from the legacy of darkness that followed us. Protect me? Claire shook her head. You betrayed me. You let me believe you were a hero while hiding the truth of our family's darkness. The shadows pulled back, recoiling from the truth laid bare. And then the ghostly figure of her father spoke again. It's time for you to decide who you want to become. Claire hesitated, fear gripping her like a vice. The tension hung thick around them, the looming threat of the past clawing at the edges of her mind. Suddenly, with a blinding flash, the photograph from the trunk flew into her hands. It sparkled and pulsed, almost alive. Claire felt her heartbeat synchronize with it. What do I do? She whispered desperately, trying to make sense of the madness around her. That's when Sarah, trembling and wide-eyed, said something unexpected. You have to save us, Claire. If you don't, it'll all break. Claire's breath caught in her throat. What did that mean? What would saving them cost her? Choose, Claire, now, her father urged, the shadows swirling ominously around them. The enormity of that choice weighed on her, filling her heart with so many conflicting emotions: rage, sorrow, power. The room buzzed with tension, every moment stretching out with the pressure of the cliff that hung above them. What would her choice unveil? Would the answers bring salvation or devastation? Claire held the photograph close, pulse racing, knowing that whatever happened next would shatter everything she thought she knew. As darkness whispered in her ear, she screamed for clarity. But the question remained. What was her truth among all these lies? As the echoes of the apparition's voice faded, Claire's mind raced. She held the photograph tightly, the image of her mother and the child, herself, flickering with light and dark memories. Tension surged in the room, the shadows towering like vengeful giants. Face the truth, Daniel urged, his voice strained. We have to confront what's been buried. The darkness seemed to pulse, and Claire felt a fire ignite within her. No more running, no more hiding, she shouted, her voice breaking through the suffocating silence. The apparition shrieked, an ear-piercing sound that shook the very foundation of the house. You will regret this, Claire. You don't know the power of what you're unleashing. With a fierce resolve, Claire stepped forward, raising the photograph. You can't control me. She felt Sarah's small, trembling hand clasp hers, giving her courage. You can't take us anymore. The figure recoiled, the shadows writhing angrily as if repulsed by the light of the photograph. The air thickened with charged energy, and Claire's heart thudded like a drum, pounding against the chaos. Suddenly, the spirits of her family, the lost, The confused swirled around her like a tempest, their whispers growing louder, echoing her emotions. "We will not be silenced!" a voice cried, merging with Claire's own defiance. "Let them go!" Claire's voice rebounded through the room, powerful and unwavering. "I will break this curse! I will free us from your chains!" The apparition began to fade, vulnerability creeping into its once fierce visage. "But if you set them free, you will lose everything you ever thought you knew." Glow, filling the attic with warmth and memories of love, not betrayal. Claire felt the power surge through her, an unbreakable bond that connected her to every lost piece of her family. As the room exploded in light, Claire's heart soared. She saw visions of her family, joyful laughter at holiday dinners, her mother's warm embrace, her sister's innocent smile. Each memory crystallized a little clearer. "No!" the apparition screamed, panic flooding its features. You cannot defy me." "But I can!" Claire shouted, her voice firm and true. With all her might, she focused on the photograph, the warmth spilling from it, washing over her and the others. "I am not just my family's shadow. I am their truth." The air vibrated, and the room shook violently as the figure shrieked one last time before imploding into glittering dust, engulfing everything. The darkness was lifted, scattering like ashes in the wind. In the aftermath, silence filled the attic, a restorative calm sweeping over them. Claire, breathless and wide-eyed, looked at Daniel. "Did we really do it?" His expression morphed from fear into something that resembled hope. "We freed them, Claire, and you freed yourself." Claire turned to see Sarah gazing up at her with big, grateful eyes. In that moment, Claire wrapped her arms around her sister, holding her tight. Tears of joy streamed down her face. "You're safe, you're here, and you belong." Evelyn stepped forward, lingering sadness creasing her features. "I'm so sorry, Claire, for one without the lies," Claire whispered, taking her grandmother's hand. Together, as they stood there basking in the newfound light, every shadow of the past faded. Strength coursed through them, a shared resolve. They would face the future together, a family forged anew. And as the last remnants of darkness slipped away, Claire embraced each of them, knowing they could finally breathe easy, together. "Claire," Daniel said softly, "you get it. You made the choice." With the attic bathed in light and the promise of brighter days ahead, Claire felt a rush of empowerment wash through her. She was no longer beholden to the ghosts of the past, but was stepping forward with an unbreakable spirit. In a moment of clarity, Claire looked around at the people she loved. "Now we begin. Again. No masks, no secrets, just us." As hope filled the air, the new chapter awaited, blank pages ready to be written, colored by their reality and strength. If you loved this story, you have to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss out on any of the next exclusive tales. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm, because it matters more than you know. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this incredible ending. Let's hear everything you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support means the world. Become part of the community that thrives on these stories.